keep it real with ya.
So I was just like not sure how this was gonna go down, but she talked me into going to group. So I went to group. I get there like a half hour early and I'm hanging out and some people show up and text. So the difference between this group and the one before is there was a woman there who was absent from the last one. I can't remember why she was absent, but she was absent from the last one. She comes in, oh, I missed you guys. I wasn't at the last one. We're all talking and joking and stuff. Um, and I'm just still kind of like, because I was like, last group, I was being real friendly. And even though people weren't weird about me being friendly, because it was literally my therapist had to explain to me, I gave this woman a compliment and she kind of responded kind of awkward. And my immediate thought when she responded that way was, this person thinks you're weird. You know what I mean? But in reality, what was happening with that person was that they were confused that they were getting compliments. Because they in their mind they weren't dressed fancy enough to receive compliments. They were cute, but they weren't dressed fancy enough to receive compliments. So when I complimented them, they had a pause where they were thinking like, huh, they're having like an inner monologue, really talking to themselves. But I see on the outside silence, so I interpret that as they think you're weird for liking their outfit. They probably think that dress is ugly, and you have bad taste for liking that outfit. Which I mean, honestly, I don't know if anybody would wear something that they think is ugly, but I don't know. My brain just went a million different ways. I was like, I see. I don't fit in with these people. I don't wear dresses. Like I'm not feminine. Like everything's going wrong. So somehow some way the door gets locked and I see a text in the group chat, is anybody here? And I come down, I was like, yeah, I'm here. And they were like, oh, well, you said you weren't coming to group. I was like, yeah, the therapist, she had me come, she convinced me. And so like we're having our little chats and everybody's being normal. And another thing that my therapist talked about is that I'm really bad at taking up space now. I was literally just watching a TikTok about this. But when you have parents who treat you like your very existence is a burden on them, like they're always reminding you about how much you cost them, in terms of time, in terms of money, stuff like that, you start to feel like just existing, you should feel bad about it. So I have a hard time taking up space in these groups. I'm always ready to give everybody as much space, as much grace as they need. I can't do it for myself. So I will literally like maybe I'll start to say something, but if someone else says something, I will shut the fuck up. And I will give them all the attention and the love that they need to feel comfortable being vulnerable and talking about whatever traumatic experience they have. And I just let them do it, and I don't speak about myself. And it's weird because like now that I'm thinking about it, that when we did those like drawings, like when we draw our family or we draw like our roles in the family, I've done more drawings I haven't shown you guys. But and I actually have to take a turn to, instead of just letting everybody else take their turns, I'll be like one of the last people to go. And then I'll pull it out and I was like, oh, it's nothing. And then I'll show it and they'll be like, that's a lot, Minu. I was like, oh, yeah, it's nothing, it's just a little drawing here. They was like, there's a lot to read into this drawing, though. And I'd be like, oh, and whatever. Yeah, it's whatever. Everything I do is not a big deal, and they've given me the attention, but it's kind of like, it's just weird. It's just weird taking up space or being like, it's my turn to talk now. But I do feel my inner child being like, I want to go. I want to say something. And I'm trying to let her say stuff, but then I'm also like, other people are talking. Be quiet. Ugh. You know. So in this particular group, um, I bring up what I've been going through at work. And I say like a couple things, and all of a sudden everybody's mad. Everybody's like, "Who the fuck your manager thinks she is?" Like they're full on protection mode. Well, look, I would have said if she said that to me, I would have said that. I'm like, okay, I need money. I cannot pop off like that. I would love if there was a white woman at my company who was willing to pop off for me because it would be taken a lot less seriously than if I popped off myself. We already know how it go. And everybody went into protector mode, like trying wanting to protect me. And my therapist had to help us come back out of protective mode and talk about how do I protect my inner child in these stressful situations where I'm being attacked, I'm being wronged, I'm being disrespected. Um, and how do I protect my inner child and make sure she understands that it's not her fault that these people are awful? You know what I mean? It's not her fault that someone's mad at her. They mad, that's their problem. How do I let her know that? Because I can know that as an adult, but how do I let the child know that? I don't fucking know. And then we went around in circles and we started talking about other stuff. And I started, you know what I mean? I went all up in that. And it was, I knew people could notice because they noticed the last time, but somebody else was also doing the same thing. So people were focusing on helping them like come out. And so I was like, fuck, when they're done with her, they gonna come for me. You gotta say something. And I was saying a little stuff here and there. And that's the thing is like I did not know there was different levels of dissociation. I was like, look, if I know where I am and I feel like I'm in the room, I'm not dissociating. And my therapist was like, no, the fact that you felt like you were out of your own body, even though you were still in the room, you were still dissociating. The fact that you felt like you could not control your body to make it do what you wanted it to do, and that time is dissociation. I was like, fuck. Um, so I was just literally like, mhm. And in my mind, I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. They're gonna know. They're gonna know. What if you start crying? If you start crying, you gotta run. You gotta run. You sit next to the door, you ready. Get ready to run to your car. Like I just like was running in my head. And I was like, at some point, my therapist gonna call me the fuck out. And I'm like, if you don't say anything, your therapist is gonna call you out. Like literally. And I'm just listening to people tell their stories and I'm having the same thoughts of like, you're different from these people. You're not like them. You know, you don't have anything in common with them. They can tell that you're not one of them. Like I'm just having all these thoughts. And then um the woman who wasn't in the last group who's in this group, who I've had some great conversations with, she's really, really sweet. Um, she was sitting kind of across from me a little bit to the right. And I don't know when, but she looked over at me and she was like, my inner child wants to say hi. And she like waves at me. And she's like, hi. It's very much childlike, right? Her child is like, hi, hi. Yeah, kind of like shy a little bit. And I immediately, I'm like, huh? You might as well have slapped me in the face. Like, wait, what happened? And my therapist is like, she's saying hi to you. She's her and a child saying hi to your inner child. And everybody's like, yeah, we noticed that you was doing it again, me news. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was completely caught off guard. I was not expecting anyone other than my manager to make a move. You know what I mean? Like it's like on one hand I knew that people knew, but I couldn't tell that other people knew what was happening. I knew my therapist knew because she sees every fucking thing. This woman got 50 eyes. She could see everything happening to every person. It's like she's watching 6 movies at the same time and she can keep up with all of them. So she knows exactly what's happening to every person. And I knew that she would say something. I didn't know someone else would say something. So it literally broke me out of my trance for her to say that. And, they were like, what's going on? And like, I remember my therapist saying, at least say what you feel. But in my mind, it's like, run, 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 get out of here, go, go, go. And I'm just sitting here like, no, 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 you can't run. Don't run. That's going to be super embarrassing if you run. Don't run. Just sit here and say what you guys talked about this. Okay. Just say what you feel. And I was struggling to get words out. And so the only thing I could say, because they were like, how are you feeling? Tell us what you're feeling. And I was like, I feel like I don't belong here. And I heard the woman next to me be like, what do you mean by that? And but then I just started crying. I put my head down. I started crying. And I was so upset that I was crying. Luckily, I wasn't so upset that I was crying that I cried more, but I was really upset that I was crying. One, because I was like, the tissues are across the room. And they weren't tissues. They was these hard ass paper towels because my therapist is anti-tissue, which fuck that shit. If I'm about to be snotting and crying over here, I'm gonna give me a fucking tissue. Um, and they were being very nice. And a woman next to me was like, can I hug you? And I was like, don't fucking hug me. I'm gonna feel like I'm being choked. And then she was like, well, can I sit next to you and rub your back? I was like, I remember my friend Alex when I was in Mexico rubbed my back when I was feeling very vulnerable and upset. And I was like, that was nice. Yes, you can rub my back. Also, thank you, Alex. You're so sweet. But yeah, this woman came over and she started like rubbing my back, and my therapist was talking very calmly and letting me know that, hey, we care about you. We are here for you. We are going to sit with you. We're going to, allow you to feel these feelings. You know, it's a good thing for you to let all this out, and we are here for you. And I don't know if I said something along the lines of, I guess, that I was like making people upset, or I was like apologizing, when you apologize, and they were like, "Oh, you don't have to apologize. We're here for you. That you take as much time as you need to, let this out and feel these feelings." And it's being very soft. And one of the other women was like, "I'm sad that you're sad." And I was like, "I don't want to make people sad. I don't want to be a burden on anybody. I don't want to make people sad." And she was like, "Well, we're sad because we care about you, not because you're making us sad. We're sad because we care about you and we feel for you." And so my therapist was being very soft, kind of guiding the moment because she knew how big this was. But everybody else was just being very soft and nice about it and just letting me know that they were here for me and that I could take as much time as I needed to cry, um, and just get it out. And I was letting it out kind of halfway, like I remember too. This is the funny part, because my therapist is all we had just had this conversation like a couple days ago in session, so I was like, "There's your tears," and she was like, you know, like I was just like throwing like a kid. I was like, "There, you take it. Now I cried just like you wanted me to. You're happy now," and she was just like very calm and just like, "You okay? Okay." And then I was looking for a tissue. I had this paper towel that had some chocolate on it from when I was eating a snack earlier. And I grabbed it and I grabbed like the clean side and was like wiping my face. And I was like, and I had the tissue in my hand like this, and I was like, "And I'm gonna use this tissue too." And she was like, "You're totally fine. You can use the tissue if you want." And then somebody's like, "Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you wanted tissues." It was such a weird experience, but it was very, very restorative. It was very good because my therapist was like, "You have to trust that these people are going to be kind to you when you get vulnerable. You have to trust that these people are okay with you taking up space and talking about yourself in group, because everybody else talks about themselves, but I don't really talk about myself." And, so you're scared. You're scared because you don't know how people are going to react. Are they going to be like, "Oh God, she's crying," or are they going to be like, "Oh, now I'm uncomfortable," or you know what I mean, or like, "Oh shit, am I supposed to do something now because she's crying?" Like I don't know what the fuck people would do. She was like, "You have to trust that they are going to treat you kindly." So I was like, okay, and so they were treating me kindly and giving me the chance to just cry. And there was no pressure to move on to another subject. There was no pressure to keep talking. Um, and my therapist talked about, after I stopped crying, my therapist talked about how great it was that, we were able to release these emotions and how this is a safe place and all of that. And it was a really, really amazing thing for us all to come together for each other like that. So I was very happy. And so earlier in the group, a woman had told a story about when she spilled some coffee and how she just like freaked out because she's like, "You're having a stressful day and then you fucking spill your coffee on the floor," and it's just like, ah. And everybody in the room felt that immediately. Everybody in the room was like, yes. Ever since she said that, I started having um these thoughts. And so when I was a kid, was at home by myself, and I went to go eat some cereal, Fruity Pebbles specifically. And as I was pouring the cereal into my bowl without the milk, see, I don't know about them people who pour milk first, but me literally pouring cereal first saved my ass, because when I was pouring the cereal into the bowl, a cockroach fell out. And I immediately freaked the fuck out. And it was one of them baby ones, but I knew what it was because it didn't look like a fruity pebble. And so I immediately threw the whole thing on the floor and cereal spilled everywhere. And then there was another roach came out with the cereal, and I started stomping on everything trying to kill the roaches. And then like I could see in the bag that there was like a teenage roach, like a little bit bigger roach. And it was just a horrifying experience for me. Horrifying. I remember it so vividly. I like screamed and everything. What I don't remember from that time is anyone coming to help me? Is anyone coming around the corner and saying, "What happened? Why are you screaming?" Or trying to comfort me, or trying to say, like, "Oh, it's okay, you spilled the cereal," or nothing like that. I, I was literally just there with all my emotions and my fear alone. And it was weird to listen to people tell these stories about when I did this, my mom, you know what I mean? Or my dad said this, or my brother said this. Because I spent so much time alone as a kid that when stuff happened, there's just nobody there. Or if someone was there, they just ignored me. And so, like, I had to clean this shit up and throw it all in the trash. And later on, when I talked about it, my mom was like, "Well, I told y'all to roll the cereal up in the box before you put it on top of the refrigerator, and now you got roaches, and that's what you get," and all of that stuff. That was like the response when I talked about it later. But in the moment, I didn't have anybody. Like when I hear these things are like, "Oh, I was passing out. Thank God my boyfriend was there. Thank God my roommate was there. Thank God this person was there." When I have moments where I'm like paralyzed on the floor from pain, ain't nobody here but my cats. And yes, they can sit with me and comfort me, but they can't call the police. You know what I mean? So when I'm having these situations, these scary situations of like I don't know what's happening to my body, I'm just here by myself. And so it feels very alone. um and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to have those feelings, because I could be sitting around people that I genuinely like and I still feel alone. I still feel isolated. I'm still in the corner, or sitting as far away from everybody as possible. My therapist has actually seen this because I've gone out with people, with her as well before, and I just do that because I'm used to being alone, whether I'm forced to be alone with my mom being gone at work or my sister being gone doing whatever she want to do, or I'm choosing to be alone because I don't want to be around the people that there are to be around, because there's a 4-year difference between me and my brother, an 8-year difference between me and my sister. So we didn't have anything in common where we were spending time together. And so I just like, this is by myself. And on one hand, I like it sometimes, but on the other hand, it's like, I could use some serotonin. um, but it just is what it is. But I feel those feelings a lot when I'm in group. And I told that story in the group, and people were like, "The fuck?" Roaches? Like, oh God. And I'm like, yeah, it was fucking terrifying. But nobody gave a shit that happened to me. That was super scary. And then afterwards, I don't even remember what was being said after that. But then, some people talked, and then we talked about like, what are we gonna do about my manager? Not what I'm gonna do about her, but like what am I gonna do as these things keep escalating and these conflicts keep happening at work? Like, how am I gonna protect my inner child? So we had that discussion and we tried to work through it. And then group ended and we were all leaving. And my therapist is like, "Minu." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I got something to tell you. Hold on." And I was like, "Oh God, no. Was she about to drop some shit on me? Oh no." My therapist is a big, like, y'all, everybody who ain't said something, we gonna deal with you. Like, she's a very big, like, you can get touched. Um, and when she touch you, she gonna open up some shit that you weren't ready for. But she comes over and she was like, "Can I hug you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yay!" And then she hugged me, because she was like, "I knew if I got you alone, you'd do it." And I was like, she's a big hugger and she loves hugs, but she always asks for permission. Because I get kind of awkward about it, but sometimes I do want to hug, and it's just weird to say that to people. um I hugged her and I like texted my friends, one of my friends, 62-year-old, and everybody I texted was like, "I'm so proud of you. Like, this is such a huge moment, you deserve to have that moment and take up space." And I was like, I really had to sit there and realize, like, I've built these relationships with people who give a shit. You know what I mean? Because friends that I've had before, I know that if I texted them that I cried in therapy, they'd be like, "You cried around people? You cried in public?" Oh my God, I would die if I was you. I would be so embarrassed. Like, I've had friends like that. But the friends that I have now, that I've built this support system, we're like, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I know how hard that was for you. You're so brave to, open up like that. And I'm so glad that you got that comfort and that validation from people." Everyone was just super, super sweet and nice. When I got home that night, my therapist texted me and was like, "You should be super proud of yourself right now. This is a huge moment. I'm so proud of you." And I almost want to cry again. And ever since that day, like, I felt like I've been more like emotionally open. Like I've been about to cry more times, but not necessarily just like in stressful situations. Because in stressful situations at work, I've been having these moments where I'm like, I feel crazy. These emotions are going everywhere. There's chaos in my body right now. But I've also just like been watching videos of like those feel good videos that make you want to cry because it's such a sweet moment and all that stuff. And I'm just like, the fuck, who am I? What is happening? And like literally one of my friends texted me and was like, the gates are open. And I was like, no, I don't want the gates to be open now. But it's literally, we are at the stage of reparenting. Reparenting your inner child. This is also a trauma group, means grief. It means grieving the parenting that your child should have received. It means acknowledging what you needed as a child that you did not get. So in this case, the comfort and validation of it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel sad. The things that made you feel sad, you know, is perfectly valid to feel sad over that. You are still a good person and you still deserve to have the things that you want, like to get that comfort is not something that I got as a child. So, and to have people sit there with you when you're crying and not tell you to stop crying, you know what I mean? Or not act like you're making them feel weird by crying and being emotional. That's something I didn't get as a child. I literally tell the story over and over again of like the times that I've sat on my couch in my living room crying and my mom will be there and she will completely ignore me and watch TV for like an hour or so. And there'd be an occasional time when she'll be like, what is it? What are you crying about? Why are you crying about that? Or if I didn't know what I was crying about, she'd be like, I can't help you if you don't know, if you can't tell me why you're crying. I'd be like, literally, I don't know why I'm crying. I'm a depressed kid. I don't know why I'm crying, you know, but it was always like your emotions are a burden on everyone else, so stop having them. And so you have to acknowledge those things and you have to grieve the reaction that you should have gotten as a child when crying, the reaction that you should have gotten as a child when you're screaming in your kitchen, terrified. Someone should have came over and said, "Are you okay? What happened?" And then, comforted you. But I didn't get that. So it's very, very emotional. And it's like the worst part of this whole experience. And my therapist knew, she was like, look, things about to suck. Things are about to get real sucky, because grieving looks different from it for everyone, but grieving is a very emotional process. I can't just get angry. You know what I mean? I have to allow myself to feel sad, to feel disappointed, to feel betrayed, um, to feel alone. Like all of those emotions, I have to allow myself to feel them. And I just have a hard time with that. But it was a very, very restorative moment, just like my therapist promised. I stepped out there and I got a good result and it made me feel very, very good. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I know a lot of us struggle with being vulnerable and showing your emotions. I know it's easy to bottle everything up, to look perfect, to only want people to see the good sides of you, to only want people to see your wins, because you're so scared that if you show them something about you that isn't perfect or that isn't good, that you're going to get judgment and criticism, or they're not going to like you anymore, and all of that stuff. And trash people will do that. It's not like that. I would never tell you that never happened. Trash people, toxic friends, people who ain't really your friends or people who shouldn't be as close to you as they are will treat you like that. People who take and take and take and never give will treat you like that because as far as they're concerned, they're more important than you as opposed to a healthy relationship where you're both important. So, I won't say that it's safe to be vulnerable all the time. I won't say that it's safe to tell people when you're struggling all the time because some people are not safe. But finding the people who are safe, building that relationship with them, adding them to your support system and keeping them around, like I said, like my friend Alex, I haven't seen her in months. But I still message her, I still check in, I still give all the love that I, usually give unconditionally, and she gives it right back to me. My friend Raven, I give her the love. and check in on her. I care about her. I think about her, and she gives it right back to me too. And it doesn't, and your friend doesn't have to be a therapist. You know what I mean? They don't have to know everything about trauma or your trauma history, even. They just have to be the type of person who gives a shit about how you're feeling, who is willing to sit there and listen to you talk about how you're feeling and what you're struggling with, and will validate your emotions. And they'll never make you feel like a burden for telling them what's going on with you. They'll never make you feel like a burden for talking about yourself, because they care about you and what's going on with you. So it is not easy finding those people. You are stepping out on faith. You are making yourself vulnerable and opening yourself up to a potential attack. But sometimes when you do it, and you do it with the right person, they are going to respond in the right way that lets you know that they are somebody that you need to keep around. So I am so grateful for the friends that I have. I am so grateful for those of you who have come into Discord, who've come into comments, who've been extremely, extremely supportive and uplifting. And if y'all ain't in the Discord, these people are great. I'm just letting you know, they are amazing people. We have a mental health tab where people talk about what's going on with them, and people are very, very supportive, and we laugh and we joke and we share funny videos. Like, very engaged in the Discord, and I try to keep those who aren't comfortable with Discord, who are on Instagram, engaged as well by sharing videos and pictures of like what's going on. But this is a very supportive community from me and from everyone else. So if you learn nothing, learn that you are important. You deserve to take up space. You are good just as you are. There's nothing you need to do to be good. You are already good. There's nothing you need to do to be worthy of love. There's nothing you need to do to be worthy of respect. There's nothing you need to do to be worthy of kindness. You are already worthy of all of that, and you already deserve all of that. So, like I always say, guys, take care of yourself because you deserve it. Drink your water, eat your food. Don't stress too much about meals. Just eat the food. Whatever the food is, just eat it. Get that nutrients in your body. Um, get rest. That is the foundation of everything. And I will see you guys in the next video. I love you. Bye.